Hi and welcome to today's lecture. In our previous sections, we explored what a cost-benefit analysis is, how it works, and when to use it. If you haven't seen those videos yet, I've linked them in the description for you. Today we are going hands-on. The goal of this section is to walk through practical cost-benefit analysis exercise together. You'll find links to the exercise description and the spreadsheet we'll be working on in the description as well. So let's dive in. So imagine a project to pave 100 kilometers of 30 roads in the Amazon forest. According to the government, which in this example is the project's proponent, the road is considered essential for three main reasons. First, connecting farmers to markets. Local farmers produce cassava, cacao, and Brazil nuts, but poor road conditions limited their access to larger markets. The second reason is lowering transport costs. Moving goods is expensive here, especially compared to farmers in better connected regions. And the third reason is reducing losses. In the rainy season, travel slows dramatically or even becomes impossible. Crops spoil before reaching buyers. So in theory, paving the road would stimulate economic growth, lower costs, and improve also access to schools, hospitals, and other essential services for roughly 3,000 residents in this example. But this isn't just any road project. It is in a remote area of primary rainforest, home to endangered species and indigenous communities. And evidence from several studies show that paving roads in places like this often leads to deforestation, um, illegal logging, mining, land grabbing, and violence. So while paving might bring significant financial benefits, it could also cause irreversible environmental and social harm. In other words, this is not a straightforward decision. And that's why imagine that you have been asked to conduct a cost benefit analysis or simply CBA to help decision makers weigh these trade offs. Okay, so on my screen, you can see five tabs. We have the instructions, copied directly from the exercise description. Then we have the data tab, which consists of the assumptions table. It has all the baseline numbers we'll need for calculations and separate tabs for the financial CPA, economic CPA, and sensitivity analysis. Let's begin now with the financial CPA tab. Okay, so we start with costs. The first one is the initial cost or the pavement cost. The unit cost in this case is $500,000 per kilometer. So let's just copy this here. And since it is per kilometer, we need to multiply this number by the road length. So 500,000 times the road length. Then we have the maintenance cost. The assumption in this case is that the annual maintenance cost is $5,000 per kilometer per year. So for 100 kilometers, that is just like the multiplication of this cost by the road length. Finally, we have the last financial cost that we have identified, which is the mitigation cost. This is given directly as an annual cost in the dataset, and think of it as spending on monitoring or environmental protection. So let's just copy or get this number from the table, mitigation, here. and that covers our financial costs. Now the benefits. The first financial benefit that we have is the agriculture profit increase. This is giving the assumptions as, let's see, $4 million per year. It represents the higher income farmers earn from reaching larger markets and reducing spoilage. We have the travel time savings here. Let's see, the formula will be the travel time reduction, which is 2 hours per trip, times the number of trips per year, times the value of time, that is dollars per hour. So that's the formula that we are going to use. And this captures the efficiency gains for all road users. Last financial benefits that we have identified is the vehicle operating cost savings. So paving, you can understand this as paving reduces fuel consumption, repair costs, and wear and tie, for example. And for the calculation, let's go back to the data. Then we have the reduction in vehicle operating costs, which is dollars per kilometer per vehicle. So we're going to multiply this by the number of vehicles. And note that here we have vehicles per day, but we are calculating an annual value, so we need to multiply this value by 365. So 365 times the road length. Now, a note. In reality, traffic varies by season, by weekday, even by time of day, and paving might increase traffic in the future. But for simplicity, we are assuming constant traffic here. Now that we have identified the costs and benefits, we calculate the annual net benefits and then discount them to today's value. So before, let's just add up the financial benefits. So, oops. So for the year zero, it's just like the construction cost. It's like a large outflow because there is like no benefit in year zero. So you can even like put zero minus the initial cost. From years 1 to 20, it's like the benefits minus the annual maintenance and mitigation costs. So we have these annual financial benefits minus these two annual costs. So note that we have here the cash flow already. Then we have to calculate the discount rate factor. So at a 5% discount rate, the factor is given by, let's put the formula here, 1 plus the discount rate to the power, and then it will be the year. I'm going to add a parenthesis here, another parenthesis here, lock these cells. So let's drag the formula so we can calculate the discount rate for, factor to all the years. So now what we have to do is multiply each year's cash flow by the discount factor. This brings all values in today's terms, and remember, $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. So let's just multiply this number by the factor, and let's do the same for all the years. And the last step in the financial CBA is add up all the discounted cash flows, including the construction cost, the pavement cost in year zero. So the result that we obtain is a positive financial at present value, which means that from this narrow financial style perspective, paving the road looks like a worthwhile investment. Okay, so now we expand the analysis to include social and environmental impacts. On the benefit side, we add the health and education access. In practice, valuing this is extremely difficult, but in this data set, we are given a number for health and education time savings per person, so we simply multiply that by the number of residents. So let's go back to the data tab. We have here health and education time savings, which is a value per person per year. We multiply this value by the number of people. On the cost side, we have deforestation. The assumption is that paving will trigger about 1,500 hectares per year of deforestation, even with mitigation. Here we assign a monetary value to the lost ecosystem services, things like carbon sequestration, biodiversity, water regulation, and non-timber products. In real analysis, these are usually estimated separately. So let's calculate it here. It will be the deforestation size, the annual deforestation increase times the value. And the final economic cost is the wildlife collisions. Faster traffic increases collision risk. For the sake of the exercise, we include this as a cost, though in practice you need good empirical data to justify it. This is usually difficult to include in a real analysis. Let's go back to the data set and copy or get the wildlife collision cost. We then discount these cash flows, these economic net benefits as before. So let's do it here. Let's multiply the cash flow by the discount rate factor. We're going to do the same for each year. And then we are going to add up to obtain the economic net present value. Note that this time the result is negative. In other words, once we account for broader social and environmental impacts, the road project generates a net loss for society. This is classic CBA lesson. A project can look profitable for certain groups, but harmful for society overall. That's why most governments and institutions require an economic CBA, not just a financial one, before approving big infrastructure projects. Before wrapping up, let's quickly touch on sensitivity analysis. The idea is simple. Change one assumption at a time and see how the results change. For example, try increasing the discount rate in Excel. Remember, higher discount rates reduce the present value of future benefits, so the net present value goes down. So let's see how to do that here. Just for simplicity, I will use the built-in formula that Excel has. So present value equals to the discount rate. Then we have the number of periods, which is in our case 20 years. And then we have the payment, which in our case is the financial net benefit from years 1 to 20. And here just a parenthesis because this formula assumes that this payment is like an outflow, and here we calculated an inflow. So we needed to add a minus here. So here, so, oops, let's do it again. Minus, okay, parentheses, minus the initial cost. Okay, let's do the same thing with the economic net present value. So PV, the discount rate, the project lifetime, and find the economic net benefit here. Remember to add the minus sign here, and then we're going to subtract this. We're going to subtract from this the initial cost, and we can drag the formula to see how the net present value will change with like the different discount rates. Note that these values, like the financial net present value, the economic net present value, are the same as before. There is like a small difference between like the numbers, but it's just because of like rounding up. Um, Other things that you could do and you should do is try changing the assumptions about deforestation or agricultural properties, for example. This kind of exercise helps us see which variables really drive the results. One important thing for me to say is to recognize that not all impacts were included. This is true for almost every real-world CBA. For instance, we did not assign a monetary value when calculating the economic. Let's go back. When calculating the economic benefit, economic net benefit, we did not assign a monetary value to cultural impacts or the effects on indigenous communities living nearby. But based on evidence from other road projects, these impacts are very likely negative, including land conflicts, exposure to illegal activities, and disruption of traditional livelihoods. Even though we can't easily quantify them in dollars, these are real costs, which means the negative economic net present value we calculated is probably an underestimate of the true social and environmental costs. So that's why it's important when conducting CPAs to include the distributional impacts of the project that you are analyzing. So just to wrap up today's lecture, we have seen financial versus economic CPA, how to calculate net present value step by step, sensitivity testing, and why unquantified impacts still matter. As you know, cost-benefit analysis helps structure decisions, but numbers alone don't tell the full story. With that, I conclude today's lecture. As always, I hope it has been helpful to you. See you in the next one. Bye.